I've got AI that can chop all this stuff up, so that's always fun.
That.
All right, what's up, guys? John Sintez, Cutternation Baseball Podcast. I'm pretty excited to combine with Padres Scout Team. We've got the Wizard of Oz in the background taking notes. We've got Cameron Maybin. Cameron, we have not met each other, but we have talked on the phone. We're from the South. We are almost the same age, and so it makes it a lot easier. I do that all the time. I deal with a ton of parents where I have to deal with their age, where they're from, and like, did they play? That's what it is. How old are you?
Right.
Did you play a sport, first of all? Did you play any sport? If you played a sport, I can get there, right? If you didn't, okay, I can educate you,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
And then
Absolutely.
where are you from in the country also tells me your baseball knowledge as well from them there. So thanks for taking some time, buddy. I appreciate you coming on.
No, man, this is awesome. I appreciate you coming on to be a part of the family. Like you said, we were not able to meet, and unfortunately, due to the Hurricane Helene, I wasn't able to get down to Fort Myers. But it was nothing but rave reviews about the knowledge that you passed along, what the guys got just in a matter of 2 days. So I'm excited to put everything in the works, man, and continue to keep this thing growing. Can you continue to keep this train moving?
Yeah, as you know, a lot of kids aren't used to dealing with, real experts that can do things in front of them. And to me, as I through my playing career, I was always trying to trade secrets with other guys and stuff and learn things. That brings me to, your goal with this. Can you, as long-winded as you would like, what as you have your son on the team and the process of what you've seen and your experience into the game, and it's going to be interesting how our experiences align and don't align, considering I've really never even played in the States. I only played in Mexico for a long time. What do you feel like is the main goal of this team?
Well, to be honest, John, that's a great question, right? Now, let's talk about the reason why I got into this thing. I'm 3 years retired now, and I say about 4 years ago, I had a chance to watch my son play. I want to say his first travel ball game, in years. And the one thing, that got me as I sat back as I watched, and it was almost incumbent of me. I couldn't help but to notice the amount of teaching moments that went past the wayside. Right? There's so many groups and so many organizations, and good groups and good organizations, but I think there becomes a point where the focus becomes so much on winning that we forget to prepare these young men for what's next, right? Whether that's collegiate baseball, whether that's professional baseball, like myself going out of high school. How are we really preparing these young men to handle what's next, right? And that's on and off the field. So as I was going to these tournaments and I'm watching one daddy ball, I'm watching certain kids hit in certain spots, or certain kids get the ball to pitch in certain spots because daddy can pay a little bit more, or the ranking says that this kid should be here. And one thing for me, I just feel like you don't grow when you don't have to earn things in life, right? Just like yourself, I was once in these young men's shoes, and I had to earn everything that I got, right? I was always called the raw guy, unpolished. Well, who's going to help refine that, right? Who's going to help polish me, right? Who's going to help me grow into a young man? So to think if I would have had somebody like that, somebody like myself, in my corner to be able to bounce ideas off of. I mean, constantly we're getting text messages, we're getting calls from these young men asking not only about life, John, but asking about what can we do to become better baseball players. So opening up that open conversation, allowing that healthy dialogue for guys to understand it's okay to mess up. You're going to screw up. Actually want you to screw up so I can see how you respond from it, and how we grow from it, because there's so much growth in failure and adversity. So getting these young guys to understand, hey, here on this in this organization, we do try to go get all the best players if we can, right? But one thing that we look at is character, right? I'm really big on character. We've had to let a lot of young men go because the character didn't align with our vision, right? And our vision is trying to get these guys to play the most selfless brand of baseball that they can. And when you do that, the game rewards you, right? We always say humble and hungry. So for me, as an ex big leaguer, 15 years, in the big league, 17 years professionally, I always said, John, I'm not coaching. I refuse. I'm not doing it. I won't do it. But yet I went and I watched and I go, who am I to be so selfish to not share the knowledge that I acquired over the 17 years that I played? The now going into broadcast, having conversations with you, I'm still learning things that I'm still giving these guys. So who would I be to not pass that information along and really try to get these guys to grow? But also, too, with the ability to go to a San Diego Padres spring training complex in Peoria, to walk shoulder to shoulder with young men who just got drafted, to see Cole Hamels, to see Seth Lugo rehabbing, to really go, hey, I might could do this one day, to cultivate that hunger of, you know what, I could do this. Hey, I'm just as big as this guy. Hey, I'm just as physically gifted as this guy, but what does it take, right? To be able to pick those guys' brain, to be able to talk to Ethan Silas about, as a 16-year-old, how in the world did you get here? What kind of discipline does it take to get here,
Hmm.
right? So the winning is great. I want to win as much as anybody. I might be the most crazy competitor there is, but what I'm realizing is the growth is more important than the winning. And you look up and we happen to win. Only 2 years in, here we are, number two in the country. I think we should be number one. I'm a little biased, but number two is good, right? You got to prove it. You got to earn it. So that's the plan, to continue to go out and earn it, but continue to mold these baseball players, not just to baseball players, but into young men. So long-winded, that's what we're doing. We're building something different. And I guess I can't leave this out. One thing I continue to say is I don't want this to be the normal travel ball organization. We use the kids for trying to get wins and trying to get clout, but we're not growing the person, right? And I think that's the most important part. How are we growing the person and getting these guys ready and letting them know that you have to compete to win a job. You have to compete to get more playing time, and that also goes with school. That goes with how you treat your parents, how you respect your peers. Everything's connected in my eyes, right? So if you're dropping the ball in those facets of life, eventually it's going to trickle into what you love, and that's baseball. So that's kind of my spiel. That's why I'm doing it, and I fell in love with it. You look at what we've done now. I mean, you know, 55 Power Five schools following us all summer. Uh, you know, we've got Kai Bratton just committed, Matthew Manis just committed, Trent Maybin just committed. John Moore just, I mean, it continues to happen. Eli Williams, so much talent, but guys are buying in, right? And that was the most beautiful thing that happened this summer, is seeing guys go from being a little bit obnoxious, a little bit chappy and churty, to being focused on the task at hand, right? And that's playing with my brothers, because we're a family. We don't play with teammates, we play with brothers. Because you play a little bit harder when you feel like it's family on the other line.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? But when you do that, when you have that mentality, I think it starts to create a very, very special human being.
Beautiful, beautiful. That you hit so many different beautiful points there. I want to go to the journey. The first thing I picked up from there was the 2 years to the big leagues, right? The process, right? Cam, you're right before the draft. We know the 18-year-old cockiness of what that can bring you into. I think that's a good thing, actually, because the ignorance almost, I call it being reckless to some kids. When you get in facing a guy like you're going to be getting into, and you go from high school to a 17-year-old Dominican throwing 100, right, or 98, with not a chance of knowing where it's going, right? Knowing that before it happens, right? And then when you get to the big leagues, what was that? Was there a moment? Was there a person that opened your eyes to that process? Because the 2 year minor league run is just like my alarm bell went off right away, right? So, Mr. Raw, Cam, like I said, the first time we talked on the internet, before, I've been following you. I'm a baseball nerd. I see what's going on. Those things don't happen very often, my friend. Can you tell me how you did that? Because that story is probably one of the most valuable things that kids, because most people think about getting there. And I talk about this a lot in California. A lot of kids think about the bare minimum to get to the school. Well, Cam, I got really bad news for everybody listening to this podcast. Only one pitcher can be on the mound at a time. So you got to be the best dude. You know what I mean? And the hardest throwing guy always is the one that they consider in the chance, right? When we're looking
Yep,
at who's the dude, they're going to go, who throws the hardest? And then who's the best guy? Now, if you can be that same dude, by all means, right? Now, that's something
sky's
that
the
I
limit.
learned. That's something that I learned going through my professional career and
Hmm.
watching who they picked. I played in a lot of game sevens in Mexico, and I got to pitch in at least four of them. That was an honor to me. You know what I mean? To be like, oh, you're picking
Absolutely.
me? You're picking me out of the pen? Like Sergio Romo's on my team, and you want me to go first? All right,
Yeah,
cool, man. I'll do that.
absolutely.
So what's that journey like? Take me through that, you know?
Man, you said something really. You said a few things that are really important. You talk about that journey. I think the one thing for me, that one thing that we're trying to instill in these young men is discipline, right? I think when you talk about this generation, I think sometimes when they hear the word discipline, they get nervous, right? They get anxious. They're like, discipline. It seems like such a bad thing, but for me, discipline is self love, right? How much do you love yourself to do the things that you need to do to put you in the best situations possible? So for me, my father, Rudy Maybin, who is a tremendous teacher, a tremendous motivator. One thing about my father is he never grabbed me to go do anything. If I wanted to put some work in, I had to go get him. I had to go find him. So early on at an early age, I had to know I had to want this myself, right? Nobody can want it more than me. And I think a lot of times you get parents, you get peers, and you get a kid who is good young, and what happens is they get labeled as being one of the best, and sometimes they lose passion, right? So I always ask one guy, I always ask guys, are you doing it for yourself or are you doing it for somebody else? First off, you got to do it for yourself. I always did it for myself, and there was a little bit of naiveness as a guy coming out of high school, mixed with a little bit of cockiness that thought like I'm the best player that anybody's ever seen. One thing that helped me is that I always played up. I mean, from 13, I played 15 and 16. At 15 and 16, I played for the Midland Redskins, the 18-year-old team. So I was always challenging myself with playing up, whether I had success or whether I didn't. But when I went back to my age group, my peers, it always slowed the game down, right? So finding ways to slow the game down, that was a huge part of my growth process. And then for me, I had a journal and I wrote, when I get drafted, I'm going to treat the next 3 years as if I was in college. So my years in the minor leagues will be essentially my freshman, my sophomore, my junior year. By my junior year, I want to be knocking on the door or be at least a year away from the big leagues, right? That's 4 years doing my thing. Also at 18, I couldn't go to the club. I couldn't go out and party. I couldn't go out and drink. So people don't realize for me, it was actually better my journey going to pro ball instead of college. So I couldn't be around all of the college parties
Hmm.
and all of the festivities and everything that was going on. I was more ready for real life than the social life, right? So it was a blessing in disguise that I was drafted, where I couldn't turn down that type of money. I'm going to take it. I'm going to
Hmm.
go. But
Hmm.
now there was a window where I can't do anything, and I'm giving myself 3 years to be locked in. While dudes are at the bar, or dudes are at the club, whether it's the team club, I'm in the room. I'm getting sleep. I'm getting rest. I'm putting the right things in my body. I'm making sure I'm prepared. There are no excuses about what might happen tomorrow, right? I can deal with the result. So it sounds simple, but that simple mentality, I was telling myself, you got 3 years, bro. And then after that, then you in grind mode. And sure enough, within a year and a half, 2 years, I played my first year in Grand Rapids, West Michigan, which is full season. This was before the deadline. Me and you're a little older. We didn't have that deadline. So I didn't sign until October. I went to Instructs, saw 101 for the first time, that Dominican kid that didn't know
Yeah.
where it was going. And,
There's
and I'm
always that
going,
story.
holy, watch your lips. Rest in peace, Eli De La, Pecho De La Cruz, my guy. Pecho Paloma, he was the best, man. He was awesome. 101, didn't know where it was going, plunked in the back. That was my welcome to the big leagues moment. But from then on, bro, being around the older guys, right? I was around Sheffield. I was around Curtis Granderson. I was around Dimitri Young. I was around Marcus Timms. And one thing that I learned as a young age, and I was such a blessing, they told me, be seen and not heard. Show up early, leave late. Find a way to get better every single day. Every single day. I watched Curtis Granderson take a guy named Nook Logan, maybe the most athletic player I've ever seen. He was Billy Hamilton before Billy Hamilton had pop, had speed. But I watched him just get outworked, right? Show up every day, early, get his lift in, get his extra ground balls in, get his extra hitting in, do his extra lift after the day was over. Like I watched guys who really showed me how to separate themselves, right? And the work, bro. It's like I said, there's no stat in character. So sometimes in pro ball, there are politics, there are a way that you can carry yourself where people will give you the benefit of the doubt, right? There is no such thing as character, but we all know glue guys, right? Everybody can be a glue guy. Everybody
Hmm.
can be a guy that, man, that dude is the right piece of that puzzle, right? So we're trying to get guys to create this, I think, first off, a mentality of figuring out who you are. One thing I knew at a young age is I knew what I did really well. I ran fast, I hit for power, and I hit for average, right? And I was a good defender. I knew the things that I did well. I knew that I had to work on the ball up in the zone, leaving that alone. Early on in my career, early notes, get the ball down. A lot of K's at the top, a lot of struggle at the top, right? So understanding my zone, understanding what pitches I can hit well. Uh, but it took a level of tunnel vision, man. I was not caught up in what everybody else was doing. Uh, Great advice from Pudge Rodriguez. He's like, you party in the off season, you hang out in the off season. The season is for making your money, right? For being locked in, for giving your teammates everything you can give them. And I took that with me, and I carried it, and I used it throughout my career, and it helped me stick around for a long time. I'm like this 15 years. All those years weren't sleep, right? I had some years where I feel like I forgot how to play the game, but the character kept me around for another 4. I'm telling you, another 4 years I could play. But the character, being a good teammate, being a guy that what you need, coach, pinch runner, pinch hitter, go play left now, even though I played center my whole career. What do you need for me to make this team better? And that kept me around for so long. So, getting these guys to turn into better baseball players, but they don't understand how being good men will carry them so far in this game and in life.
Beautiful answer. Did you, in those 2 years in the minor leagues, did you happen to make the playoffs or win a
Oh my
championship?
God. Oh my God. My very first year in pro ball, we were actually the best team in baseball. Best
Yeah.
record in the first half, best record in the second half.
It's
And John, that team never wins.
so it's funny, that's actually a theory that I have on like growing, right? Like when you look at some players that come through the minor leagues and get there, some of the guys are trying to get their work in and get there as soon as possible. But if you look at like what owners want and what we're seeing is like, yes, winning is a major part of what we're talking about, but like doing the job, like winning the championship
Yes.
is the process of whether it's an 8-day tournament or a season, like that conversation is not spoken upon. And so almost every guy that I've talked to that has a really long career like yourself has won a championship early in their career to
Wow.
kind of put them into the idea. And so
Wow.
like your selfless idea of the team normally puts that in there. And I don't think we're teaching winning championships. Like what I'm seeing all on the internet, and I'm sure you're seeing it, is the swing mechanics, the throwing mechanics, all of these things are great, but they're a portion of the formula of the goal, which is win the championship,
Yes.
and I
Absolutely.
just don't hear this conversation happening anywhere.
Yeah,
And
go ahead.
go
I'm
ahead.
going to cut you off, but one thing I enjoyed about talking to you from the beginning, right, is we talked about the growth process, but at the end of it, you're like, at the end of the day, you want to be the best, you want to throw the hardest, you want to win. Like we
Yeah.
want to win, right? Because you're learning something. If you on the other end of it, well, okay, what did I do to be on that end of it? But I think that's so important, right? Like we talked about the little innate things in between winning, but the ultimate goal is to win, right?
Hmm.
And I think that is forgotten. And I think that's where the whole this ain't, hey, listen, if you want to be a part of a team that's with the participation and you just want to say that you
Mm-mm.
got some at bats or you just want to say that you got in and got some innings, this is not the team for you. And I hope that's not scaring anybody away. But what we do here is we live in a very transparent world as far as the San Diego Padres scout team goes. And on this team, you have to be resilient, right? You have to be able to handle constructive criticism. But I want you to be out here trying to get at everybody, right? If you don't have the same jersey on, we ain't friends. We ain't listen. I'm trying to embarrass you, Mamba mentality. I want to make you question whether or not you really want to be doing this in your life. And I think that's the approach that you have to still try to instill in these kids. And I think it's missing today in this generation a little bit. I think it is too much friendly competition, right? I get being a good competitor in a good sport, but I think there's a difference between too much friendly competition. You know what I mean? I think guys are too, hey,
Nice.
how you
It's
doing,
too
bud?
nice.
Just
It's too
swing.
nice.
It's too
It's too
nice,
nice.
and for me, and I mean this, and like you talked about the guys that I knew that had success, bro, even if you thought that guy was nice, they had a mean streak. They had a mean streak. You know what I'm saying? Like they had a real nasty mean streak, bro. So, and I learned that you got to be kind of nasty,
Yeah,
even going
yeah.
through these recruiting processes. We talked to Texas, we talked to Miami, I've talked to Oregon, I've talked to OKU, and one thing that I keep hearing quite often, a lot of we want dudes to be nasty. The best programs in the country, they want dudes to be a
Like,
little nasty.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm looking for humble and hungry, but there's a fine line, right?
yeah.
There's a fine
Well,
line when you still got to be a dog. You still have to want it. And again, I always say to my guys, at the end of the day, I can try to pep you up. I can try to give you this spiel, this speech, but at the end of the day, do we want it more than those guys over there?
yeah.
Like, look at it preparing. Look at I'm watching teams throwing the football, warming up, and like you're gonna let those guys beat us? No, they're not. They don't want it. They're not locked. They're not prepared. Like
But
let's embarrass. Like let's him. Like I do. I want to go out and I want to embarrass people. Like
but
I'll say
Coach
it.
Skeens throws a football before the game,
Yeah,
right?
but
Yeah,
with
he does
intent,
it.
and intent is
Yeah,
different, right? Everything's
yeah,
done with intent. Are you doing it because Paul Skeens doing it, or are you doing it to
yeah.
get you activated, to get the arm going, to get the body moving right? You know what I mean? How do you prepare, right? And that's one thing we're big on, teaching these guys how to prepare.
Yeah, that was my message to those guys at the pitchers that I got to meet. Unfortunately, I didn't get to watch all of them throw, but I got to watch early work. We got to watch a couple bullpens, and one of the things that I was trying to get to them was like, you actually want to compete against everybody here to be the best guy, and if you can do that, actually
Including your
everything else,
teammates.
including your team, and I'm like, they're actually the number one guys you're trying to beat first before the other team, because you want to be the number one dude in the game when it's there, and if it's
Facts.
not there, then you're not doing it right, you know. and
Absolutely.
and I agree that there is a little bit of a different attitude when it comes to playing the game. Sport was supposed to be a replacement for men for war, so we didn't kill everybody and we fought our countries, so then we could be like, okay, let's go back home and nobody died.
Yep.
So, when you're on the field, that war mentality is literally talking, I try to explain to some of these kids, like, every pitch is an opportunity for you to either gain money or lose money if you understand how severe that you're playing the game. And if you're playing it that way, then there's no nice part about it.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
what we were growing up with was throw it down the middle and see how far they can hit it. Never
Hey,
made
here it
sense to
comes,
me.
bro. Here it
What
comes.
this made
Fastball.
no
Hit this one.
sense. Made no sense to me. You know what I
Right?
mean?
Yeah, here
Like
it is. Hit it. Hit my best pitch. Like again, like but it taught you how to compete, bro. It taught
right.
that competitive fortitude that it's I won't say it's missing in a lot of kids. Again, we're building an organization where you're seeing it though, right? You're seeing it, and two, I've noticed, and again, we've got the Wizard of Oz in the background, the best director in the country, and he knows. People all the time will tell you, and I mean it, and it's so humbling to hear. I love Coach Cam's style of coaching. Like it's not like your normal baseball guy. Like it's got a little bit of seems like a little football in it. He's a little angry at like it's a passion with it. And like I'm
Hmm.
passionate, you know what I mean? And like it's like you said, but that's the competitor in me. I want to beat the crap out of whoever we face because we're the best. And I want every guy believing I want every outfitter thinking they're the best outfit on this team. And there's a
Hmm.
way to what you talk about, and I'm really big on two things that I'm big on, and you'll hear me. You will hear me. It's funny you say this. This is why we're gonna be lockstep and key. Because you'll hear me a lot of times, especially to my pitchers, you will hear me yell, warrior mentality. Let's go, warrior mentality. Like
Hmm.
that's a war. I want warrior mentality. Like you said, sport was replaced for like we want a warrior mentality, right? Gladiator mentality. I will not be beat. I don't care how banged up, how beat up, how tired, how hot. Like you're gonna have to kill me to beat me today, right? And it's clearly not literal, but that type of mentality, man, it creates such a fun atmosphere. And you've seen guys really gravitate to it. I've seen players after games go, God, we love how you guys play. Oh my God, like this is awesome. Like the way you
Yeah.
guys play the game it's so much fun. You know what I mean? So it's such a compliment to what we're doing. And we're not where we want to be. You know what I mean? That's why we continue to add guys like you. I think you're really, really help sharpening these guys from an aspect that I can't. One thing I will always say, I don't know everything, right? I specialize in outfield. I specialize in base running, speed, getting on base. I had some pop, but we have the ability now with guys like yourself, guys like me, uh, guys like Matt Kemp who be in the background, guys with real experience and had real success, but also with a level of transparency, right? We ain't gonna tell you what you want to hear, right?
Mm-mm.
We gonna tell you, we gonna lift you up and we gonna build you up. I'm huge on that part, right? Watch your highlight tape. We just talked about it in the group message. Everybody has a highlight tape. Watch having success, right? Feed that ego a little bit, right? Give
Hmm.
yourself a reminder how good you are. But having these little guys in place, now we're starting to really do things that's going to take this thing to the next level. So I'm super excited about the ability to have different resources for these young men,
Yeah, I mean,
along with the Padres.
I'm also intrigued with your network, because your network and these kids getting to talk to them, that the secrets that the guys don't necessarily give away all the time, those people are the people that I was also able to that was the first time that I remember playing in Mexico that I found out that there were real secrets, that like people were
Yes,
not sharing real
yes.
information. And like hitting Twitter and pitching Twitter don't understand that like
And in fact,
there's
let me give you
not
one. Best
there's not
advice
real
I got.
secret.
Yeah, I love that. Let me give you one crazy. Play 8 years in the big leagues. I go to the Dominican in 2014. I tear my wrist up, so I missed like the last 2 months of the year. I'm in a bad place mentally. I'm not having fun playing the game anymore. So I went to the DR. Omar Minaya said, "You know, it came. I'm gonna get you in the DR. One of the best GMs to do it. Omar Minaya, good buddy of mine." He said, "I'm gonna send you to La Romana. I'm gonna send you to Casa de Campo. Great place, clear your head, but you also get some good baseball in." And it was there. Willie Ontañez, an older guy, 43, still playing. Excuse me, still playing in the Dominican Winter Ball League. And he's giving me nuggets. And I remember facing a lefty, tough throwing lefty. Most lefties all have this angle. And he's like, "Poppy, hey, you're trying to push everything to the right field too much. You're long, you're 6'4". He goes, "For me, from here on out, I don't give a shit who it is. Excuse my language, I don't care who it is. If you're facing a lefty, I actually want you to think center, left, center, right? With the lefty angle, what happens is guys want to push the ball to right field so much, and what happens? You're late, you're missing, you're behind, and you start to miss underneath, you start to swing and miss." He goes, "I want you to change your sights and think center, left, center." The next 2 years, I'm topping the league. I'm topping Major League Baseball against lefties. Right now, I put myself in a situation where what happened at the end of my career, and there was about 2 3 years span after that where I was really good against lefties. And what happens was now Cam Maybin's known as a guy, hey, he can really handle lefties if you need him to. So towards the end of my career now, I set myself up for another role, right? The platoon role, the older guy,
Yeah.
but give me the lefty. I'm cool with it. But that advice now, taking it to the summer ball circuit, and I got that in 2014 from a guy, 43 years old, never touched the big leagues, a Dominican winter ball legend, right? And this is him. And I played with Handler Ramirez, and I played with Dan Ugla, and I played with Fred, and I played with some of the Orlando Hudson, some dudes who are nasty, and nobody ever gave me this. And here, this guy talking about the secrets, and now I'm watching us. Last year was the summer of the lefties. We lost, I think, 2 or 3 games. And I remember lefties getting us twice. All right, you know what? From here on out, we're gonna have hitters meetings before the game, just like the
Yeah.
big leagues. We're gonna start doing hitters
Hmm.
meetings. Even if I don't know them, I can watch them warm up, and I'm gonna give you a generic plan on what we
Yep.
do against the righty that's on the mound, or hey, lefty on the mound, hard throwing lefty. Let's hunt the fastball. Let's make him show us that he can throw the off speed for a strike, and let's get middle of the field, low damage. And now quality at bats are happening. And now dudes who struggle against lefties or dudes who struggle against that righty, now we just give them the right approach. We're just setting our eyes in the right spot to have success. So those little teaching moments, those little secrets that I've learned along the way, and you're seeing it rub off on guys, right? From the base stealing standpoint. We got guys stealing bases that have never stole a base in their life. You know
Right.
what I mean? Justice DeYoung, one of the top 2025s. Now with Wow Factor, one of my favorite kids in the country. I had this guy stealing bags left and right? Just
Yeah.
giving him different ways to see it, right? They're falling
Right.
asleep in here over there. Hey, watch how the pitcher comes set. When his foot is turned in, when his front foot is really turned in towards him, he's going home. When that front foot's open a little bit, he's trying to get his hips a chance to open up so he can make that quick spin move and pick back the first. So the little nuances as opposed to just playing the game is what we're really trying to give these kids, give them an extra advantage, right? Hey, pitcher, when he throws the off-speed pitch, watch his mouth. His mouth is
Hmm.
open. Hey,
Yeah.
when he
Open
throws a
mouth.
fastball,
Hmm.
John,
Hmm.
hey, like these are little things these kids have never thought about, right? And it's taking them
Yeah.
to the next level. And we already have some of the most talented kids in the country. So those are those secrets that are so vital and so important that I enjoy giving and seeing the kids light up. Like, right,
Yeah.
seeing that light bulb come on, I'm like, there it is, right? We're doing the right thing.
But Cam, the secret you were just talking about wasn't a swing change. It wasn't a hand position. It wasn't a strategy of getting ahead. Like, yeah, there's so many generic phrases that happen in baseball now
Mm-hmm.
that you can tell when guys get on camera, or one of my favorite, obviously the cutter and cutter nation comes from Mo. A
Mm-hmm.
broken arm, I'm watching him play, and I just go, well, if there's one pitch I was going to add, why not learn how to throw the cutter? Because watch this guy.
Yeah.
And then you hear everybody talking about they're trying to learn it, they're trying to do stuff. One of my favorite Mo stories, and you can look this up, there's a 60 minutes interview of him. putting the cardboard glove on, doing all this stuff, right? And the guy gives him a baseball, Cam, and I shit you not, he does the wrong grip. He doesn't do the right grip. And he knows he's
This
on
is
national television.
this is Mo.
He
This is Mo.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
this is Mo. And the reason why I know that is because I'm already, when this comes out, I'm hurt. So this timing's actually really good for me. And I'm like, oh, okay, I get to watch him tell me. And this is like pre-internet, this is probably
Mm.
2011, 2010, 2011, yeah, 2011, 2012. And I just Google him and look at photos, and I'm just looking at his hand on the ball. I'm like, he's not holding that like that. And then I go to another one, and I go to another one, and I go to another one, another one, another one, and I keep seeing this like offset four seam, and I'm like, that's definitely not what he just showed, just
You're
right
right.
over there. And I'm like, and that was like the first time. And then so I go out and I try to throw the one that, he put on TV, and it was okay. And then I tried to throw the other one that he was holding. And I was like, oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me. And this is back
Hey,
when you gotta go high eight video, you gotta get it, convert it, put it on the computer. And then I'm trying to watch me throw. And I'm like, dude, this is crazy.
yeah.
And that was like the beginning of it, where I was like, okay, maybe people aren't putting the real information out there. And then you start thinking about it and looking at people that, I mean, this is, I've been on this filter since, I don't know, yeah, that long, 2011, 2012. And
Yeah.
now anything that I see anywhere online, I ask the kids, even to this day, I'm like, well, did you try it? Or, you saw this pitch grip on Pitching Ninja. Okay, cool. What happened? Did
Hmm.
did you throw the pitch and it moved right and the guy hit it to the moon? Did you slow your hand down and telegraph it and he knew it was coming, like, because you were so thoughtful on it? Did you like make a weird face when you were about to throw it so everybody knew something was happening, because you were so focused that your eyes got really big and everybody's like, what's this guy doing? Why is this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of things that happen that you don't even realize, just like Devin Williams tipping, and whether it was glove expand on changeup hand or not,
Yep.
or positioning of the shoulders where he was open or closed.
And
I
a
know.
lot of times with guys like Devin Williams, with changeup guys, you can see the hand hanging out the bottom of the glove.
Right.
Like that, a big one is like hand in the glove, and then hand like you
Yeah.
can
At
see a
the
little
at the
pop.
heel, at the
It's
heel of the glove. Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
a lot of changeup guys with good changeups. Sometimes they will do that too. So, but you're right, and again, that's got nothing to do with
Yeah.
like
Well,
it's
if I start my hands lower, now that wasn't the problem, dude. You missed the
yeah,
ball. You missed the
exactly.
ball.
And then
Awesome.
and then too, like it's important to be that like and this is we laugh, but it's so important to talk about it because right, you have to also be that guy to go do. It ain't this. It's not the swing, bro. It's not the swing. Do me a favor. Where do you like the ball? Right? Let's act like where do you like the ball? Oh, I like it out and out. I like it up and out over. Well, I watch you on up and out over fastballs, and that not the pitch you hit very well. But when I'm throwing to you, when I'm flipping to you, the ball above the knees, middle end, close to you, inner half, you demolish that ball. So how about today? We just have an approach to go. I'm attacking middle end. If I see anything knee high, middle end, inner half close to me, I'm in attack mode. Because I think that's what my eyes are saying is that's the pitch you handle well. So being that guy sometime where it's like, it ain't the swing, dude. Where are your eyes? What are you looking for? Are you in between? Right? It's that's the part of the growth as well, right? Getting them
Yeah.
out of their own way sometimes and then just going out and be, thinking the game, but also reacting to the game. Like go out and react to the game. The best
Yeah.
players, Mike Trout, I use Mike Trout as an example. I used to sit and I used to watch Mike Trout, and he was a clown. He was the best teammate. He was a clown. He would talk to his bats. Hey, buddy, you want to hit some fastballs today? Little guys like the fastball today. Get on the heater. And it sounded funny, but I was like, yo, okay. And I'm watching, and this dude throwing a lot of fastballs. Let me get on the fastball, right? Like, why am I looking for the off speed when Mike Trout is
Mm,
jokingly telling me what he's looking for today? Like those little things, and he's not like
mm.
elbow, be on time. He's like, guy's gonna throw you a lot of fastballs, buddy. Like, get ready. We're gonna get some heaters today. Get the head out. And I'm
Yeah.
like literally looking at this dude, like, is he psycho? I'm like, no, this is why he's the greatest player in the game. Because one,
Yeah.
he's having fun with it, and one, he's challenged himself, getting himself ready to react and not being there in thinking mode. Right? He trusts the process, he trusts the routine, and then it's reaction time with the plan. With the plan. And mechanics is not always the plan, right? Sometimes we got to go there, and that's what I got you for. That's what I got you for as far as the pitches go, because I don't want to mess anybody up. But
Yeah.
those little quick fixes, those little quick cues, right? It might be verbiage, it might be physical, but those little things are so important on the growth as well. It's so important.
Yeah, and just that whole experience, right? Like you just talking about one of the greatest hitters to ever do it, and just watching him just be a little bit mental, and just but watching him, I agree. There were moments like that with me where I saw guys where they were unfazed by the game that was in front of them. One of the first games that I played in winter ball, I remember we were in Mazatlan, and there was a guy on the mound, Venezuelan, throwing 101, and our 40-year-old first baseman pulled it off the foul pole, the first at bat. And I remember like looking around my teammates going like, we're just early on 100 today. Like that's just what it is. We're not even late. We're early off and I remember everybody's walking around and he jogs around the bases, come back in. And I was like, hey, I just gotta know. I just gotta know. What's going on? Like, are you early on 100? Like, can you tell me what's going on? And he goes, oh, I know this guy. I've faced him for like the past 10 years. Like, all he wants to do is try to blow me up. I was like, oh,
Yep.
it wasn't luck. It
Yeah.
was awareness. Like well, just like you're saying, Mike's talking to the bat. He's probably in the box going, here we go, here we go, here
Yep.
we go, here we go. He's gonna do it, he's gonna do it. Like, and there's
Absolutely.
people like that, these younger kids, and I don't know how to explain it sometimes, but there's things that happen like that where we can't explain it to them. Where I'm like, I don't, you have to see what I saw. I don't know how to explain it.
Yep.
And the five guys that I played with that threw 100 significantly changed not only how I threw the ball, how I prepared, what pitches I threw, because not only am I watching somebody throw 100 get smacked, as ignorant as you see that some guys do, some, just like Suarez just leaning on the heater the whole time. The amount of times that I saw pitchers doing that, and I'm just like, oh man, guys, we gotta really can we just try anything else? Can we try?
Right. Right.
I have a very interesting story that I had to go in winter ball as a reliever to have the manager meeting and go, if you throw this lefty in front of me again and give me all of 30 seconds to get hot, we're going to have a problem. Because,
Yeah.
like, you've done it 10 times this year, and then you've given me 30 seconds to get hot, and we got a runner on second, no outs, because you keep throwing this lefty, and he keeps throwing first pitch fastballs to start the game.
Yep.
Okay. So if we're gonna panic and you want me to throw 2 innings, I'm down. I'm down. I'll go old school 2 inning save. It's not a problem, right? I'll do it. But the 30 seconds to get hot with the alarm bells of the runner on second at no outs is not exactly the easiest thing for us to get through. Okay. So let's not do that anymore. Like I'll
Exactly.
throw and he's like, you'll throw 2 innings? I'm like, yeah, I'll just throw 2 innings. He's like, okay, cool. And then like we ran through it in the play. We ended up losing in game 7 in the playoffs. But like sometimes just having those conversations with your coaches too, like, you kids, like if you are cocky and you are confident and you can execute and you want to go out there, like I would appreciate a kid if he came up to me and then be like, dude, I'm hot. If you need me, I'll throw 3 or 4 innings, whatever you need. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
That's good to know.
I got you a few of those. I got you a few of those.
Oh yeah,
I got you a few of those for next summer.
yeah. I'm not gonna lie. The boys that we got now, shout out to the staff. Like, even though it was only 3 days, like everybody had a good time, and I intentionally try to make sure that we're learning something from.
I was gonna say, but they had a good time, John, learning.
Yeah,
I got goosebumps. They had a good time learning from you though, because you brought something to the table, right? You brought a different, maybe an outlook that they haven't looked at. You know
right.
what I mean? I think it really kind of sparked some thoughts, some really good, healthy thoughts for these young men. And even in the group, we were not there, but Trent, one of our outfielders, he was talking to the guys, and they were just talking about how cerebral you were, how you had them thinking through situations before they happen. And that's the game, right? That's chess, not checkers,
Yeah,
right? What am I gonna do when I get that guy, number 4 hitter? When I get to him, if somebody's on in front of him, how am I gonna get him? Like you were giving them little things that I don't think they've been accustomed to getting, and they were excited. Like you would be surprised. We talk about the teaching moments. These kids want to learn, right? Like you'd be surprised actually. Like kids like they like constructive criticism. They like to be told how they can get better, believe it or not, right? All of them don't
yeah,
frown and get upset when you actually tell them, hey, I think you should do this and do this, opposed to this and that, because I just think this is your strength. Give it a try, right? And then that level of trust for them, like, okay, coach, all right, I got you, right? And that's when it starts to become fun when they start to really trust it, even if it
Right.
doesn't work. Like, let's just try. Let's see what happens, right? And I think that's where the magic starts to begin.
Yeah, it was the simple things, right? Like reading swings, understanding, what you're doing and is it working? Like a lot of the times in the game, like you can prepare all you want, but as a pitcher, the game will actually tell you if it's working or not, whether you should just continue to ride
Yes.
or you know, we should probably try something else. Like you threw three first pitch heaters in a row, all of them were barreled loud. Like we don't have to talk about exit velo. We can go old school. Like
Yep.
loud noises are a problem, boys. If we get loud noises on the field, it's a problem. Okay. Like
Absolutely.
there should be no gunshots on the field when you're pitching. It should be all soft Charmin, out fronts or jam jobs because or they were just late, they weren't prepared. All of those things are, and that, what I talked about with that was playing to your strengths. Eli Williams, for example, right? One of the things that I did that this is where the technology part that I feel like I am such a nerd in is overcomplicated, even in Major League Baseball. Most kids think it's velo only, not a formula velo plus spin rate plus movement. Okay.
Hmm.
And if you just tell them the number of the spin rate and you help them understand, they can actually understand the threat. So, Cam, I'm not sure, what your spin rate knowledge is inside of this, but Major League average is 2,200.
Hmm.
Just telling a kid that that's like the idea of 90 miles an hour to them, like you want to be 2,200 spin rate because that makes it harder to hit. And it doesn't matter if you throw 85, you got 2,200, it's going to help you.
Hmm.
Okay. Right. And anything above that is bonus. And every 100 spin rate after that makes your fastball harder to hit. This is why, like, Manis was spinning it really high. Eli Williams was spinning it really. I mean, shout out to the Wizard of Oz for throwing three lefties in the last game. That was actually one of the things I thought about. I was like, we went three lefties in a row, all of them dudes, all of them
Dudes.
annoyingly, like Elvin PR'd in the front right there. And Elvin's, I think too smooth might be a problem, to be honest, but it's not to the American kids, it's the Latin guys. Like
Yeah.
if they find your timing and you're too smooth inside of what you're doing, like it's gonna be a problem.
And that,
They
you know
they
what's funny? You say Elvin. Elvin was one of the names that raved about what he got from you. Like
yeah.
he
Well, he
learned so much,
he
and
just did
he
not, yeah, he was trying to figure out like what his movement was doing to produce power. And like a lot of kids aren't experimental enough to be willing to try something warm-ups. But when you have
yes,
a radar gun that can verify the feeling, that's when the coaches don't understand. Like, yes, they're trying to blow up the gun, but it's also like if this, then that, right? Like if I
yeah,
did it and it went up, okay, let's keep doing it. Or if I didn't do it and it didn't work, or if I thought I did it and I missed my spot, or it just didn't click as fast as it's supposed to. And that's like one of the things that Elvin was on. I was like, Elvin was asking me, what does it look like? I'm like, buddy, it honestly doesn't matter what it looks like. It matters where
mm,
it goes, where it goes. Like
yeah,
that's what
yeah.
matters. You know what I mean? And if you can try
'Cause
to do as fast as possible, then what do you think? Why are you thinking about what it looks like instead of moving as fast as you can?
boom, exactly,
You
exactly.
know? So it was fun with him to, be with lefties that just, didn't understand that there's some secrets that I gave all the guys that were helping with the throwing. That's why we saw some PRs. That's why we saw some other
Hmm.
fun stuff. But more importantly, with that was like a lot of the kids saw the increase in spin rate with doing a couple different things with pressure inside of stuff. And so, he was one of the ones that I was just like, actually, you with your movement and your spin, if you just throw it in the zone, nobody's gonna square it up.
Yep,
That's actually what it is. And he said,
love
"Yeah,
it.
you think so?" And I'm like, "Bro, your ball moves so much. It's spinning so much. That's probably why you don't throw as many strikes as you do, because it's probably just ripping right out of the zone with how much spin and how much force you put in the ball. So
Yep,
you just got to figure out, like bowling, how do you start it so then it catches the
yeah,
air and do the thing that you want to get in there." So, that was cool with Elvin and some of those guys too. So shout out to the Wizard of Oz at putting three disgusting lefties in a
yeah,
row to that.
yep.
And it's funny too. Here's a funny one, Cam, and Coach Mo and I could tell the Wizard of Oz were a little worried about this. I did not call one pitch the entire weekend. I didn't call one
Aw-
pitch.
Awesome.
Now, what we did do is we did send in skeleton plans of understanding like when to do things in certain situations. And I think it's a lot easier to pre-pitch plan if you understand like, so I install like an RPO offense to pitchers, and that's how easy it is, like where you can just go, all right, you're going to run fast, fast, slow, or fast, slow, fast, or slow, slow, fast, or slow, fast, slow. And like those are your first pitch will tell you what you're going to run off of. And like that'll
Absolutely.
tell you. And then depending on
Absolutely.
the threat, like if you look up and Yodi's in the box, I would pay attention to that
Yeah.
and maybe think about exactly what the best first pitch is to throw to Yodi, because I watched Yodi go and I'm like, yeah, this is the story of the Cuban that I have met so many times in my life.
He's
Like
so
we talked about on
nasty.
the phone,
He's so
where I'm
good.
like,
And he's grown so much, John. Oh my God. The kid's grown so much, starting to understand his plan. And then even too, like he was also a kid. And listen, at the end of the day, a lot of people are trying to help these young men, right?
mhm,
But I told him, I said, hey, listen, you're the biggest, maybe the strongest kid in the country. You don't need to lift a baseball. I know they got you guys dry. Like, I want you to Tony Gwynn for me and try to hit. If you want to hit homers, hit them on a low line through the fence.
yeah.
Get the ball close to you. Your approach is anything right of second base bag is oppo. Not right field is oppo. Anything right of the second base bag is opposite field for you. That's where you need to play, because now if you're behind on the fastball, now you do have right field in play. But if you're on time, you got the whole field in play. And he took it and ran with it. And it's like now he knows his strength, right? He knows what he handles well. He knows what he's looking for. So even those little moments, the dude is a dude. But like you said, being aware of the surroundings and the situation is is clutch.
The my Yodi, my Yodi story. First time up, I'm looking at the body, I'm seeing the shoulders, and I'm going, all right, let's see what we got here. And he gets jammed on some kind of little funky, like it was like a changeup, but you could just tell the guy messed it up and he just didn't read it. And I was like, all right, well, we'll see what happens. The next time up, the guy goes black paint and he cooks the right fielder short hops the wall. I remember looking over at other guys and I was like, so we're just going Oppo 360 in on a spring training field in
With
Florida
wood.
with Wood against a kid throwing 91. Okay.
Exactly.
That's that's where
And
I'm
these are
at.
also perfect game baseballs, not the hardest baseballs in the world.
Right.
Like I'm putting all this in the fact, like that's special. It's special.
It is. And then the next day B, he went, they threw same
Oppo,
pitch, and then
yeah.
he went further and he went over. And I was like, all right, that's
Uh,
I don't know who's giving these guys pitching advice, but I'm just confused about this kid. They threw him two first pitch fastballs, and both of them he went with it and tried to rip the cover off the ball. That's what
exactly.
we try to talk about, like especially with the hit tracks and stuff. And we do that all the time in the cage with stuff. Matter of fact, most of our hit track stuff we have in the cage, we put it in game mode so the fielders are there so they can literally see the mess up.
Yeah.
Like I know you PR'd. It was 36 degrees, dude. It was 36 degrees. What does that mean? Watch the fielder. He's camped. He's absolutely camped underneath it. There was zero chance that was going to be a hit. I know you hit the
Yeah.
shit out of it, right? But eventually, just like what you see on the spring training field, it's 410, 385, and
Ex-
350. Like that,
Exactly.
I don't care what kind of long drive you got. It ain't happening. I'm sorry.
Facts.
It ain't
Exactly.
happening. You're not going to hit a home run on the field that you think you are. That
Exactly.
the drop five is not going to help. I
Yeah.
promise.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right. Let's see. You know what? Let's get into now what we've caught up and we're there. Let's talk about the tryout.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to be running a clinic. You're going to be
Yes.
there. The odds is going to be there. Mo is going to be there. When we are out there evaluating players, what would you like for them to know?
Well, one, it's okay to mess up, right? Don't come out here and try to be perfect. Baseball's a game of failure, and even in the workout, we want to see. I want to see energy, right? I want to see a competitive passion, right? I know it's a workout, but I want to see guys compete, right? I want to see guys come in. I always say, leave the cool stuff at the door, right? Like, leave the cool stuff at the door. Like, don't come in trying to be cool, and I don't care how the drip looks. We want guys to come out and compete, be focused, pay attention to detail. I really would like to give the guys the layout, and then we go from there. I'm one of those guys, and it's just a part of a tryout. I don't want to have to tell you guys the same things over and over, right? Pay attention to the details. The details matter. Compete and have fun at the end of the day. What we're doing is building a national organization that is garnering a lot of eyes and a lot of attention, especially with the ability with my history playing in the Major League Baseball. People in the game are going, Cam, what is this team that you have? What is this organization that we're hearing so much about? So for me, bring the character, right? Bring the effort, bring the energy, bring the will to compete. Show me that, if something doesn't go well, I'm looking at body language. I'm studying body language. I'm a really observer of body language, right? I want to see confidence. I want to see you show your ability, like you said, swing fast, move fast, show off the athleticism, show off the tools, right? But more than anything, play free, right? And enjoy the experience, right? This is an experience. You being able to put on your clinic within the camp, within the tryout. I can say this is a tryout, but it's almost going to end up being like a camp, right? Where guys are
Right.
actually going to still leave with something. So it's one thing to come to a tryout, but you're actually going to leave with something no matter what ends up happening. Come prepared. And I would love for everybody to bring a journal, right? We talked about it. One thing the Padres do when we got to spring training, bring a journal, right? And maybe what we'll do is I'll go get, 100 if I need to, or whatever I need to do. Bring a journal and get these kids to start writing out what they felt today, or what happened today, right? Go over your day, right? So many things we forget because we don't write them down. I know we get older now. We get older. It's just it's just notes I rip out when I get like these are just notes from being prepared, and it's just like be prepared, right? Come prepared, come ready to show your ability, and come confident, right? Come confident and come believing that you are the best. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, I selfishly love that I get 2 days with guys. I don't evaluating people is one of the hardest things that I think is misunderstood in the process of the game. And I see that baseball players all the time miss it. Oop, do we lose Cam? We might have.
My bad. 1 second.
Oh, it's okay. Just making sure. If we got video, that's fine from that right in
Yeah.
there. So the what I'm excited about bringing from my side is, I'll be bringing the TrackMan. We're going to be a radar gun. We're going to be bringing a screen. We're going to be getting spin rates. We're going to be getting data on all that. But really, what I want to see is like, how do you use your own tools to be successful? Whether that's, making a play, being risky, like you're saying, trying to not necessarily be flashy, but like make a play.
Play
And
aggressive.
so, yeah, and the old school, like, it's not about being at the top of the leaderboard. I think it's more about like making a play, making an impression. So we want to know your name.
Yes.
And like to
Love it.
me, that's also why even when I could have gone down the rabbit hole, researched every player on the team, but I wanted to organically learn who these kids were, not only by them playing, but having conversations with them inside of stuff. So we will be talking to everybody there. We want to see how well you play the game. Like when you normally hear tryouts and you hear stuff, you know, you may be the fastest thrower, but if you get smacked, I don't know what to tell you. Like it is 100% performance based on how well you play the game, not necessarily your matrix. Like I love metrics, but the game that Cam and I know, everybody throws hard. Everybody got a blade. Everybody got a nasty something, right? The ones that are successful are the ones that aren't giving up runs, you know? And if you give up a barrel, like you said, well, what do you respond to with a runner on second? Or if you walk a guy, what happens then? Do you hit the
Exactly.
panic button or does your strategy change? Or were you even thinking strategically? Or have you never even thought strategically because we may be the first guy that never called the game?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm big on that, bro. These guys have to learn. They have to learn how to do that. And we'll be there to go, hey, what were you thinking there? Okay, maybe next time around, maybe like, let's see let's start this guy out with, like you said, slow, and then fast. Like, let's change his mindset for a second. And I
Hmm.
and I love that too. And then I want to add to what you're saying is when these young men do come out, like, and we talked about it, and you said something that opened my mind up. One thing you really paid attention to when you were playing, how guys take pitches, how guys react to certain things, right? I want to see. I actually want to see. I hope everybody comes out and has the best tryout in the world. But that won't be the end all to be all whether you make a team or you make a squad. I actually want to see how guys respond to failure. I want to see what happens when they have a bad round of BP, John, or somebody comes up and they throw to third base for an outfield drill and it throws out. I want to see how they react. I want to see how they carry themselves, right? Because this game is full of failure. Even in going through the practices of it, going through tryouts, you're going to fail. You're going to have bad moments. I want to see how you react to the failure. That's one thing that's big. I stand on it. It's huge. Give me a guy that can handle failure, and we'll figure everything else out.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. The value of what we're going to see inside of this tryout is impressive because of, the Oz has told me that the quality of players that we have coming in. I think that's half of the thing is how do you compete when you're facing some of the best guys, and how do you handle that process? Like, understanding that you're David and Goliath is a lot different than like opening the door and finding out right then, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
And I did see that against some of the teams that we played against too. I watched their demeanor, and how they warmed up and what they were doing. And then, kudos to you guys on the professionalism that I saw from the beginning, and it's easy when you got guys like Jacob Lombard and Yodi and some of these guys that.
Keon Johnson. I mean, these
Right.
leaders,
Yeah.
John Mora. I mean, leaders.
Yeah.
And that's
John
one thing
Mora.
and that's one
Yeah.
thing we promote. I don't know one thing I don't believe in. I don't believe in captains. I know, like you clearly gonna have like some teams you're like your best, but I think everybody should be a leader in their own way, right? Like I think everybody, believe it or not, has leadership ability, leadership quality. It's just understanding how do you lead, right? Like I talked about Mike Trout. Mike Trout wasn't a rah rah guy. He led by his play. But I was the guy that was, hey guys, close the door. Let's talk real quick. Like I was his voice. Like be figure out how you lead, right? Is that vocally? Is that verbally? Is that physically? Is that however it is? Figure out how you do it and just do it to the best of your ability, right? Be the star of your own show.
Yeah. Yeah. The leaders are the ones that are ones holding the trophy at the end of the day. And that's where we're trying to, even though the trophies aren't necessarily the purpose of it. I think the trophies of what we're looking at are the people that we know we're passing on information that will
Boom.
help them further, whether it's understanding that the college game is different than the pro game, or understanding that where you play in the country may affect what kind of pitching that you're going to see. and
Absolutely.
and and being aware of some of these things are things that some of these kids don't realize. And that's, I was talking to some of the kids about what they see in the SEC, and I'm sure, I don't know if you've heard of Wheels, but there's a YouTube channel that's probably one of the coolest things that I've seen, which is where they do summaries of the games, but it's in 10 minutes. So
Right.
you can download visually every SEC game and watch it just by going to this video and watching what the guys are doing and seeing, you can watch Chase Burns pitch from Wake. You can watch anybody, Skeens. I watched almost every game of any prospect that I'd ever need to without watching the full game, and just
Right.
downloading, watching what they're doing, seeing how it goes. And even with using Skeens as an example, Skeens rarely threw his changeup, rarely threw his two seam in college, but he didn't have to. His four seam ride, his slider, his breaking ball, like the things that he was doing with the ball were really basic for
Yep.
the pro game. You know what I mean? And then you could see that as he got to the Pirates, that he came up with a completely different set. Now, that could have been Grandal back there, as you and I
Mm-hmm.
know, that he might have been the one that was influencing the pitch calling as he
Mm-hmm.
was going. But those are the people that probably saved, a couple years for Grandal, because of how well he is managing Skeens, and guys
Absolutely.
like Jared Jones too. So those conversations are the things that, with the at the clinic, with the pitching, and really any throwers, really the goal is going to be. I have a way that I talk about throwing. I have a system. It is a Latin based system. It is purely anecdotal from the guys that I played with down there. I was given some secrets, and we're going to go over that. And that was what some of the stuff of the guys, Eli Williams is a big fan. He's still sending me. I'm not sure if you saw that slider video, if the Oz showed it to you, but he threw a back foot slider the other day, and all I've been talking to him is about like learning better trick shots.
Yeah,
Like go
that
down
kid
the
is so
rabbit hole.
nasty, by the way. And
Yeah,
I wasn't there. He had a. We gotta talk to him. He's so good. But when the first time I saw him, I was at first base, and I'm again competitive nature, right? What I
yeah,
learned immediately, I'm like, he's tipping, guys, and he caught me. I think at some point he caught me catch it, and he corrected himself, right?
right.
So just little things. That kid, I just want to say that kid is nasty, and his changeup. We talked about the back foot slider. What about his changeup?
Well, I mean, he didn't even in his outing, what he felt with that day, he threw one changeup, but
Beautiful.
the heater was on. Like I think he threw one changeup and like two sliders. That was it in 2 innings. And everything
And,
else was just pumping heaters with spin.
and you just said something so beautiful. How he felt that day determined on how he attacked that day. So yeah, you might have a fastball, changeup, curveball, slider, cutter. Like you said, did Paul Skeens need it that day? And I know we can work on these things, right? And there'll be moments but it's like, if my fastball and slider's working, why not?
Right.
Why not let it work?
Right.
So I love that too, understanding and reading the room, we like to say. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
we know you have the whole repertoire, but if you don't have to use it, then cool. And also what that also does too, and for future, purposes, guess what? Now you haven't showed them your whole repertoire. So
Right.
now you have other places to go when if you have to go through the lineup again or whatever it may be.
Oh,
So
what do
I
you
love
mean
you.
if? What do you
Yeah.
mean if?
yeah, yeah,
What's this
yeah,
if
yeah,
stuff, man?
yeah.
Like
No ifs, ands,
I'm
or
used to
buts.
4 times through, man. Like
Yeah, facts.
I'm playing different numbers every time you get up there.
I
Like
love it. Yeah, you
I
Darvish
mean, I
did not
yeah.
double up on during the postseason. I don't think he threw the same pitch 2 times in a row.
Why would you?
I'm almost positive he did not throw the same pitch. Like, listen, he didn't throw the same pitch to as a hitter. You know what that freaking does to you
I
as
do.
a hitter,
I
and the
sure do.
conviction that you also have to be like, yeah, I got 5 pitches, and I'm literally not gonna throw you the same one back to back. Like
Hmm.
that's like you're messing with a different type of growth and learning and competing now.
There's another piece of information on that too that I could go with him and Yamamoto. Also, both of those guys extended their speed range of their pitches by throwing the slowest curveball they had all year.
Yeah.
So you got to go back in the dugout and you go, well, Yamamoto's snapping off 72-mile-an-hour curveballs and throwing 98-mile-an-hour fastballs. That's a 30-mile-an-hour range. And then you got Darby that comes back on the other side. He's doing the same
He
thing.
threw 168 miles per hour, bro.
Yeah,
Kidding
exactly.
me? Like that's
Well, I
LeVon
mean,
Hernandez. Like that's
that
LeVon Hernandez stuff. Like
of
LeVon Hernandez used to
course,
pitch me that way. LeVon
of
Hernandez
course.
would throw me a 60. And almost, I think he tried to throw it as slow as possible, like 67. And I'm
Yes,
like, and that 92 looked like 100 once I got the
yes.
fastball.
Levon Hernandez, the angel that he is. Shout out
Yes,
Levon. You know
shout
what I mean?
out.
If you got to be a real baseball fan to
Yeah,
understand
for the young
Levon
kids, you guys do your
Hernandez,
homework on LeVon
El
Hernandez.
Duque, all the Cuban guys that are that's what's interesting about the game. And I'm sure you heard this too. Like, and I see this with the kids. We talk about this all the time. And Eli Williams, right? Like the slow breaking ball has gone away, but it doesn't make sense to me, right? Like in the shapes of the speeds and the tunnels that come in, and if everything's hard, small tunnels, you're gonna get smacked. Like the popping curveball, like nobody said that to Barry Zito or Kershaw. Like, of course their curveball pops. That's literally the point to get you off of it, you know?
Exactly.
So like this
Exactly.
whole like
Jack Flaherty
uh,
had a lot of success the other night, bro. He actually threw the slowest breaking balls he's thrown all year. Stanton finally caught him, but like you talk about that 72 to 96, bro. Like it was the slowest he like you. So I love even that mentality, right? Getting because I think that's what like, and I think, and again, that's why I'm actually falling in love with doing this, what we're doing, because I think there is a world where we always say everything comes back around, right? The '80s, the
mm-hmm,
short shorts, the neons, the look,
mm-hmm,
like it
mm-hmm.
all gets recycled, it all comes back. So guess what's happening? It's gonna come back. Like you
Yeah,
said, Barry
yeah.
Zito made a good long living dropping out, and Kershaw used to throw it, drop out the sky. And then he throw the fastball up off of that.
Yeah.
just like the little things that I think you're going to see start to come back around, and all of a sudden we're going to see that slow breaker ball. We're going to see guys going back to this opposed to, you know what I mean? Because eventually you got
Yeah.
to hit the fastball, and if you miss,
Right.
and usually when you miss the fastball up, guys don't miss up. They miss. It's crazy. Oddly, they miss more down.
Yeah.
So it's like, here you go, talk about this. What we used to be like, get them up, get them elevated.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
looking for.
Right.
You know what
Right.
I mean? So it's like changing the mentality, because we know you watch enough. I play and watch enough. We know what's giving guys success, right? Analytics is only information. I want to say that too for kids that don't know understand analytics. Analytics is nothing other than people giving you information to try to simplify the game for you. That's it. That's like it's
Hmm.
analytic. I think people think analytics means something totally different. It's literally just information. That's it. To try
Yeah.
to help simplify it. That's it.
Yep.
So I think I think the game is going to go back to let's watch, right? Like what are your eyes telling you too, right? Like
Right.
what, like that's a part of it. I think, and I'm not saying it's gonna eliminate it, because I think we need the science. I think the science is important, but I think there's a marriage of like science and the eye test. Like, what am I feeling?
Yeah.
What's going on today? How is this? Is this team on my fastball? Like, what do I
Hmm.
need to do to get them off of my heater? Like you said, is this a fastball hitting team we're facing? You know what I mean? It's what's the plan?
Right.
So I think that's so important. You touching on that, man.
Yeah. Even in the World Series right now, like we have the two best fastball hitting and fastball throwing teams in the World Series. Like that is fun. That's very
Yeah,
fun. We know there's going to be a bunch of fuel, a bunch of straight balls thrown around. The ball's going to get put in
exactly.
play, and each version of that game is more complicated than the next. Even though everybody, even like the Pod Series, everybody coming out throwing 97, 100. Like it's just what it is. Like welcome to
Facts.
the game. So let's get a little bit more back into the tryout. The goal of the Pod Scout team is exposure, but on multiple levels. The levels of you know the guys you see on TV, the head coaches. I did not see in my career the number of humans and radar guns that were following people around, right? The value that the Oz does during the game, I've told him this too, which it's such a missing piece. And he even called me in where he's talking to major decision makers of athletes' futures and being able to communicate to them the value that your lens to some of those coaches is tremendous. Is what is going to set us apart from the other travel teams to that, in your opinion? How are you going to be able to tell that story, to the University of Texas for say?
Well, I think honestly, and I think and I'm so humbled by these schools, by the big schools, the little schools. Coming up to us last summer was really eye opening, because we went from, I think, and it was all new, right? And these guys are all young men, and you watch baseball, John. You see, I think sometimes I think it's a lot of obnoxious play, right? I think there's too much stuff coming out the dugouts and not enough focus on the task at hand, right? And one thing I'm really big on, what separates us is easy. I would say it's easy, and not saying every organization doesn't have it, but one thing we really, really preach and pride ourselves on is having class, man. Like I actually don't give a shit if we win or lose, but whatever happens, I want that team, that opponent, those parents, those umpires going, that's a classy bunch, right? That's a group that carries himself with class, that carries himself with respect. And again, I always say this is a real scout team, and I mean that. I stand on it. Like, this isn't one of those like we just got a name, we just want to pick one out of the hat. This is a real scout team. So when we take the field, we represent that SD on your hat, right? We represent this organization, right? Is first before you represent your, like, this organization has done something special to help us try to create a platform, a different platform, a different avenue that, like I said, is not the daddy ball travel balls, not the politic travel ball. It's literally cultivating the hunger, the want to be professionals, but also showing you how to be a professional, and also understanding that adversity comes with being professional. You have to win positions, you have to win spots, you have to win over coaches, you have to win over your peers. These things matter, right? So for me, the way we carry ourselves like young professionals is big. And nothing was better this past summer, than having Tennessee, Texas, Carolina, Duke go, you guys, not only do we think you guys have the most talented team in the country, the way you guys carry yourself, you guys didn't buy into the other team talking crap and yelling at, like, the way you guys just let them have it. You know, I tell my guys in pro ball, and again, I go off my experience. I didn't go to college, right? So in pro ball, when you get in pro ball, there's not a lot of cheering and rah rah SINGLE 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 sing. It ain't no. It's you sit there, you watch the game, top step. Here we go, couple attaboys, good swing. Hey, what did you see? All right, hey, what we might have for dinner later? Oh, okay, or whatever's going on in the stands. But we're locked in on the game. It's not yelling at the guy on the mound or yelling at the guy because he swung at a pitch, and it's not that's a classless brand of baseball. And one thing that I'm really big on talking to you, just briefly getting everything going, Mo, the Wiz, like the guys that we have in this organization, they represent us, right? They're a reflection of us. So when they step out of the cars, the van, whatever it is, when we show up, they're not going, "Hey, this kid is carrying himself like a jackass," and his parents are doing it. They say Cam Maybin, the Padres, the organization, or they say these guys have a lot of class. These guys do it right, and I'm hearing these things. So for me, we're going to continue to be honest with kids, have hard conversations about, hey, you need to grow up. You're about to be 17. You're going to be out the house very soon. Also letting parents know, you guys are 2 years and a year and a half away where you can't call the University of Texas and say, hey, my son was a shortstop the last 3 summers. Why is he playing left field now?
Hmm.
You can't call the San Diego Padres and go, hey, my son played center field the last 4 years. Why'd you guys move him to right? You think they care? No. So again, we're trying to provide that and create that now. A different, a realistic, a honest atmosphere, and it's getting these guys ready, right? Ready for one failure, one ready to bounce back from it. They're going to learn resilience. The character's going to grow. The confidence is going to grow. They're going to grow as young men, as human beings. So I know that's kind of long-winded, but like that's what we're doing that I think is different. I think a lot of these teams, they show up, they collect the fee, they get the money, they go try to win. There's not a lot of teaching moments. If they win, it's great. If they don't, it's great. But they're like, these kids aren't leading with anything. Like, what are they like when they get in the car? Like, the wheels still need to be going. What did I do today to have a good day? What I do need to do to get better? Accountability, like accountability is real. Was I a good teammate today when I struck out, or was I kind of blowing my guys off? You know, or was I a good teammate when I gave up 2 and I came in and I was pouting? Like, or was I blowing my guys off? Like, we're building character, right? And I think we're building resiliency, and we're building a group of young men that they can handle failure, right? They're going to be good and prepared when they go to the next level, whatever that next level is. We will know we did our job to get them ready. The schools will have to do a lot less when they leave us, right? The pro ball organizations will have to do a lot less once they leave playing with us, right? We talk about the raw guy. We won't have those raw guys, right? We're molding
Yeah.
those guys into young men and baseball players. So and I believe in it. I stand on it. I've seen it. And again, this isn't for everybody, right? I don't want to be that guy to, oh, you everybody. No, this really isn't for everybody. So if you are watching this, if you are a kid that likes to compete, that likes the coach to be honest, that likes to be held accountable, that has a high standard, then this could be the team for you, right? If you're selfless, you show good character, you show that you can be a good teammate along with the talent, then this is the organization for you. But if you can't handle that, if you can't handle me saying, hey, man, you got to bust your butt, hard 90, what are you doing, right? Don't disrespect the game. Don't disrespect your teammates. Don't disrespect your opponents, right? Those are things that we talk about. Respect the game, respect your teammates, respect the opponents. And that's setting these guys up for success on the field, but also off the field.
Yeah, and I think the connections of that have really, um, and what I've seen from afar and just this short time that I've been with you guys, the like you said, the class, the professionalism that goes to that, it does rub off onto the guys. And I was walking around, a bunch of professionals, and they knew how to act and they understood, what was the line and too far. And that's kudos to you guys that have set that up.
And
There's
kudos to those
things.
guys that we have, John, because I've had some difficult conversations with kids who've never had somebody tell them, first off, bro, yeah, you're talented, but you ain't nobody that good. Nobody's bigger than the game. And
Right.
instead of being like in their feelings, we've had guys, Spencer Krasner grew up, Kai Bratton grew up, and I pulled them aside and had hard conversations. Said, "You guys need to be better teammates. You guys need to be better leaders, and because you guys, the talent is there, but the talent isn't the end all to be all." And then instead of getting in their feelings and Coach Cam is on me, Thanks, coach. I appreciate you, coach. I grew up a lot. You helped me turn into a young man this past summer. And like those, like, so kudos to them for not taking it personal, but taking it personal in a good way, right? And going, this
Right.
dude really wants to see me grow into the best version of myself. And that's all. And I don't know what that may be, but man, if we can get any of these guys to grow into the best version of themselves, that's legacy to me, John, right? Legacy is what can we do to really say, man, John changed my life. Cam changed my life. Mo changed my life. Right? That's real legacy. It's not awards. It's not accolades. It's like, did you do something that inspires somebody to change their life? And I think that's what we're doing.
Yeah, and I mean that goes to show with the relationships that you see with these coaches and the teams that are coming out there and talking to the Wiz, talking to you, talking to me. Like I can tell the way that those guys, that the decision makers, do respect us based on how they even talk to me. I mean, I've talked to coaches a lot, and you can always tell at the beginning how they actually see you and how they see the team, and just based on the first couple questions that they ask. And I mean that's evident. And I heard something of this, and this is going to be one of my questions to you. How did you get 150 offers on one team? Because the Wiz told me that, and that is wild number. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's crazy. It was crazy. And again, that's my guy. He's the best. Again, he's the best in the nation. And that's one thing we do. This guy not only, and it's a testament to talent, right? He's going out, he's finding this talent. Uh, the talent is believing in what we're building. We've got some really invested parents who have seen the difference between I think a real winning culture. I mean, winning culture. That doesn't mean you're winning, but like a winning culture, a mentality, right?
Hmm.
Uh, and this dude works tirelessly. I mean, just the other day, he said he reached out to, you know, 200, 2027 kids. Prior to this summer, he reached out to, CC me along with every email, over 1,000 colleges, right? Over 1,000 colleges. Because one thing I know with experience, a lot of times, and with experience, high school coaches, travel ball coaches, they use these kids for what they need them for. And that's that weekend to win. And once that's it, it's like, all right, see you later. Good luck. I'll see you next summer. I'll see you when I see. Like, we don't do that here. We're invested all year long. The Wiz created a group chat that we've been in for 2 years now. We check on grades. We ask guys if they need help. Like, we check on the person, right? And I think that's why you talk about the 150 offers. Not only are we, and I don't want to say selling talent, because it's your job as a high school coach, it's your job as a travel ball coach to reach out, right? Because now, the day and age we are in, so much self promoting, you got to be willing to step outside your comfort zone and literally reach out and say, hey, I've got a guy. Hey, you need to come see him. And a half of it was just him doing that, taking the time to say, we've got dudes who we really believe in. And then I was on the other end of it going, hey, I stand by this. So sometimes you got to have somebody that people trust to stamp it, right? To go, okay, Cam Maybin's behind it. If he believes that these guys can play, and most people know me, most people know I'm very transparent. I'm not a sugarcoater. I'm a very honest person in my evaluation. So when I say, no, I've got a guy, I think he's a dude, they listen, right? And they're showing up, and
Hmm.
then they're seeing it in person, and they're actually falling in love now, not only with the player, but with the atmosphere that we're creating. Like I said, there's nothing more humble than hearing these schools go, dude, you guys are so much fun to watch, but God, the way you carry yourself, like it's the way you guys carry yourself is like professionals. And like that means the world to me. So that's when you talk about the 150 offers, it's talent mixed with character, right? You talked about the guys who you got one, but if you got the other one, great. And we're slowly getting that character to start to match the talent, and now it's coming together. And schools are going, okay, I know when this guy leaves this organization or graduates high school, like I said earlier, they're going to be pretty much ready, right? All these guys have something to work on, but for the most part, you're going to have guys that are coming in physically ready, mentally ready, and now it's just up for them to compete for the job, right? So that's what we're doing differently, man. I think it's just effort and energy. Taking time to literally reach out and send out emails over and over and over until you get an answer, right? Even if it's a no.
As simple as that is, that didn't happen for me.
It didn't happen
Nobody
for me as well.
nobody reached
Listen,
out for me. Yeah, man.
I was committed to Southern University. I was a 10th overall pick committed to Southern University. How does that happen? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But it's because somebody wasn't doing their job.
Right. 100%. Yeah. Southern in Louisiana.
You know it.
Yeah. I've played there. I've played there.
you, you
Yeah.
know,
You know what I mean? You
yeah.
said Southern. I'm like, dang,
Yeah.
there's a
Southern
swamp.
University,
There's
baby.
a
Shout out
swamp in
Coach
left
Cathart.
field. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right on. Okay, well, you've crushed all of the questions that I have in here. You know, what's the bigger picture that puts this in? I know it's so early in the thing. Obviously, there's a pipeline coming.
Yeah,
I believe it's 25s, 26, 27s, 28s, and I think we go all the way to 29s is
yeah,
what the potential is to go from there. I've even got some 30s that train with me that are coming out to the 20, the 29. And
yeah.
speaking of playing up, like I did the same thing. I didn't know. How about this? I played up 2 years and just didn't know. I was the same size with the kids that were with me. And I found out when I got to high school when one of the guys that was like my throwing partner was a junior and I was a freshman. And I was like,
I thought we were the
uh,
same age, bro.
yeah, dude, what's going on? This is weird. He's like, no, John, you were the youngest, bigger one on the team that everybody knew
Yeah,
could pitch. And I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of cool.
yeah.
I had no, and then same thing, like we go play with the other guys, the new guys that are my age. And I'm like, why is everything so slow? Like,
Yeah, and it
it's
slows the game down. That's what it did for me. It slowed the game
right.
down. Even at the highest level, I think it helped me be somewhat prepared to where I didn't. The catch up wasn't as much. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I was doing a lot of this prior to, so now, okay, I still got to work on it, but I was pretty close to where I needed to be. You know, and I think that's a big part of this thing.
Yeah, and the awareness on your side so early in your life is I'm super jealous because I don't, I didn't get any of that information. And the Sheffield, the CCs, the people that know that, I see a massive information pass from generation to generation right now
Yes.
that even over here on the West Coast, I don't see that happening, over here. And the East Coast just seems to be so much further ahead than the West Coast. Do you have any thoughts on that?
No, that's kind of interesting to hear. And I guess that just depends on what's going on, because we lived in San Diego for 5 years. Love raising my family out there. Um, but I don't know. That's a great question. That's actually a question I don't have an answer to. I don't know, because I would have thought it might have been. I would have thought we're actually a little bit behind over here. So you know what I'm
That
saying?
that's not
It's
what I
glad to know
felt when
we're
I
it's,
went
it's
over
glad to
there.
know we're on track.
Yeah, when we went over to Florida and I was looking at all the teams and just like asking around, doing everything, it was interesting because I was obviously comparing to the lens that I have over here, and I'm going like, don't see any Yotes out here. Don't see any Jacob Lombards. Don't see
Yeah,
any, I
yeah,
got a Mateo,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
one of Mateo's teammates too. I know you've seen him throw Taylor Worth.
Oh
He's
yeah,
with CBA though, but he just won the MVP of the freaking WWBA pitcher. That's like one of
yeah,
my guys. Like he went,
yeah.
I think, he just really went hard on himself. I think he went from like 82 to 92 or 83 or 84 to 92 in like about a year and a half.
Awesome,
Um, but
awesome.
and if you saw the video, like there's still so much room on the frame. Like
Yeah,
he's not as long as Mateo or as tall, but like close on
yeah.
the length. Like the arms work really good inside of that.
Well,
So
there's a world that works for those guys. You know, that ball that looks like it rises. You know what I mean? There's a world for that guy.
yeah,
Working up here. You know what I mean? Like, there's a world
yeah,
for
yeah,
that
yeah,
guy. Spencer,
yeah.
Strider. I think about Strider when you just said a guy. I'm just like, I don't know if he's built like that, but like, there's a world for that guy who isn't the long, lanky
I,
guy who can
I'm
actually
I'm
kind
sure.
of work and
Yeah,
play uphill a little bit.
yeah. Exactly, exactly. The Oz wants me to do one more thing. I'm sure you saw it. On the So with our clinic and what we're doing the tryout, my goal is to help everybody understand what they are doing. That's hard for a lot of guys to do that when they've never actually thrown in front of the high tech equipment like we have with the TrackMan, and some guys throw in front of Rapsodo and sign. But translating the data, which is what we were talking about earlier, that's actually what I feel like I am good. I'm a translator. Like not only do I know the numbers, but I throw baseballs.
Mm,
And so the numbers are trying to basically verify what you're doing with your fingers as you're trying to make the ball roll off. Uh, Simple things like teaching kids how to use their phone so they can do their own pitch design session. Understanding like what it's supposed to look like, showing that the side angle may not be the most valuable angle for your pitching mechanics. It actually may be from behind the catcher because that's
mm,
what the hitter sees. I'm not sure if you know that, but you're supposed to be disguising the hitter. It doesn't matter what you look like sideways. It matters what you look like from the front because that's
exactly.
what you're showing the hitter, you know? So just so much information that I would like to teach some of these kids that isn't very complicated, but maybe angles and things that they haven't gotten before. And that being said, that gives me more time for us to make some decisions about this roster as we go, especially with the different ages that we have coming in from there. Because really, the more that we can connect, like you were just saying, and understand the personality of the kid, how he plays the game, the metrics that go with it. Now, both of us can have those conversations with these coaches that tell them a better story so they understand what they're getting. I think that's
Yeah.
another thing with the baseball community is that because of the numbers, it's becoming, diluted in the information of like what's important and how you're using it. I mean,
Yep.
I'm
You
only
said it. You
talking
said
about
it. You said it great. You got it. You have to know how to translate it and make these guys understand what they're looking at. Like you said, as simple as going, okay, league average 22 RPM, 2200 RPMs. It gives you a baseline. Understand, like you said, like that's and as simple as that is, that's explaining the information, right? And that gives you something to reach for and try to attain. And I think that's important, bro. The translation, and that's what I've seen when when blast motion came into play, when so many things came into play, is guys had it, but they didn't know how to convey it, right? Because I was a big guy. I'm like, no, I'm not doing blast mode because guys didn't know how to explain it to me and why it was actually beneficial for me to understand that anything over 30 degrees has to be hit probably over 105 miles per hour if I wanted to go anywhere. Or understanding that like my launch angle, and I hate talking launch, and I don't talk launch angle, but understanding when I'm working my swing that like it may be like in here, like somewhere in here, I'm
hmm
getting
hmm
better on plane, right? But figuring out what that means to me, is it 14 degrees to 30 or is it 20 to 30 I'm trying to work on, and understanding that if I can do that and I stay, around 100, good things are going to happen. So you said translating the information, I think is so important, and it goes by the wayside so often.
Yeah, I mean, we're just looking at the numbers as if we're putting them all on a leaderboard and just doing it.
Yeah,
It's like, no, no, those are supposed to be things that you have taken, use it, right? Put to your
exactly.
advantage,
Exactly.
They're that brings me to the media side. We've partnered with a company for this Florida tryout that I'm kind of excited about because we're going to be able to provide some not only is it going to be a tryout, a clinic, but there's going to be a recruiting video process inside of this too, because the
Yeah.
trackman's going to be able to pump out with the iPad the numbers of the hitting, the pitching, and then the live at bats, which is actually going to be my most favorite
Yeah.
part. Like I
I can't
really
wait
want
for
to
that.
see, yeah, I want to see what guys do. And I'm sure we'll discuss formats inside of this, but I'm sure after we see a couple of the guys on each day, we're going to be like, because I want the dogs and the dogs. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I want to, who do we know? And then who's the best hitter that we can kind of put into the situation and
Boom.
go from that. And
Boom.
if we have multiple hitters that need to be challenged by multiple pitchers, if you step up and do that thing, then you best believe that I know Cam will be trying to challenge you as well. And if it
Absolutely.
comes down to it, and I got to put the spikes on at the end so we can really find out where it is, and that's just going to
Yeah,
be what it is. You know what I mean?
exactly, exactly. And at the end of the day, you just said something I think is really important when you talk about tryouts. A lot of teams and organizations have tryouts, but what are you getting, right? That regardless of what happens, you're going to leave with information that's going to help your game, whoever you are. And I think that's important. And again, that's also legacy. No matter whether you make this team or not, you're going to leave, and what we do, our vision. No matter who you are, whether you've been here or not, whether you're a kid who's still here, and again, we still communicate with so many kids that are not with us, that it didn't work, and we still help try to get them recruited. But you're going to leave, and you're going to have something to go to take home, and it's going to make you better, right? And at the end of the day, we want all these kids to be the best version of themselves. So whether you make it or not, you're going to have something that you can take home and go, damn, the Padres gave me this. I'm about to go lock in. I'm going to work my butt off at it because this is where I need to get better. And the recruiting video showed it, the workout showed it, and they told me, and they were honest about, hey,
Yeah.
you need to go do this. And I think that's the most important thing, is people are going to actually take something away from it, right? Don't get caught up in on who makes what, like knowing that you're going to get something out of this that's going to be beneficial for, I think, the rest of your life and career.
Yeah, that's what I'd say is you're in my ability to talk about the game within the game in front of some of these kids may be the thing that they've never heard before.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you're saying, you're picking up tips here and there. He's glove expander, he's an open mouth guy, he's a big eye guy, he's a finger guy,
Mm-hmm.
he's a shrugger, he's a head kicker,
Yep.
or here's one for you that I was live tweeting the other day. I was kind of freaking out. I think the pitch com is causing um unconscious gripping because you're hearing the pitch call and then you're grabbing it. And so like I live picked Flaherty in the game as he was walking back to the rubber, or yeah, because he would get the ball, he'd come back, and then he'd hear the pitch, and then you'd watch him grip it and then put it in his glove and then get his sign. And I was like,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
what's going on here?
Oh yeah,
And I was probably 12 for 12 when I got the TV to show me what was
yeah,
going on.
yeah.
You know what I
Hey,
mean? And
what
it
about
looks like they're just showing his face. Go
hey,
ahead.
what about this guy? What about this fastball guy? And then you got the guy who then he comes second, and it's like,
Yeah,
off
exactly.
speed.
Yeah,
Like
right.
I tell you
Right.
times I see that guy, he geared up for that
Yeah.
fastball, and then it's
Yeah,
like off speed.
yeah.
Like
Exactly.
that.
Like and little things like that, right? That they don't, these kids don't understand, or the pitching coach is like, no, 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 it has to look exactly the same. But I
Yeah,
mean, when's the last time we saw an interview with a starting pitcher? Like I was thinking about this the other day. Like I mean, how many Roger Clemens, Greg Maddux, Randy Johnson, Kurt Schilling, like these guys used to be sharing on TV conversations, post
yeah,
game
yeah.
interviews, putting
Grits
stuff.
and
Yeah,
everything.
and
Yeah.
they would just talk, and now we don't get that version of it, and maybe it's on a podcast, maybe Pitching Ninja, this and that, but like that secrets just aren't getting out the way
You
they
know,
used
my
to.
dad used to call them John. He used to call them skull sessions. We don't have skull sessions anymore. We just talk the game. We watch and we talk about it.
Yeah,
And we don't
the
dive. We
wi-
don't
the
dive into like mechanic. Like let's talk about it. Let's have a skull session. We call it a good old skull session.
right, 100%. That's where the Wiz and I had a good time, just going over all the stuff when we were in Fort Myers. We have another one planned. We'll have I'm sure we'll have a couple skull sessions. He was even
Yes.
talking about putting us all together in Airbnb. I'm sure that there's going to be zero theory and conversations happening at that at
Yeah.
that
Right.
location.
Exactly.
We'll probably have to podcast again, to be honest with you.
I'm ready. I've enjoyed this, bro. I've enjoyed it a lot. This is awesome.
Y- Yeah, this is awesome. So, yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk about it. Tryout coming up, South Florida, Miami-Dade College. It will be November 16th and 17th. We're looking forward to all the talent, all these young men that are going to come out, show us what they have, 9 to 3 p.m., 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So we're looking forward to it. Like I said, bring your energy, bring the talent, bring the character, and more than anything, come out and have fun and be ready to take something away from this tryout. Like I keep wanting to call it a camp because it feels like a camp because we're actually giving these guys things, right? You at camps you give guys nuggets, and we're going to be giving out nuggets. So it's a tryout, but there's a camp within the tryout, and we're just we're doing our best to continue to give these guys the ability to become the best versions of themselves, right? That's the Padre Scout team. I think mindset, our outlook, helping young men become the best version of themselves, and I think it's going to be big, and it'll be the first of many. Eventually, we'll get out to San Diego, we'll hit Texas, and the Wiz and myself are talking about something, whether it's South Carolina or North Carolina, maybe outside of Charlotte. But good things coming. But for the one recently, November 16th and 17th, Miami-Dade College, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., come out, bring your game, and be ready to have some fun.
Yeah, and for you pitchers out there, right? Like my favorite part about this is even like with the tournament in South Florida, like we get to spend time with you. Think about this. Like as a hitter, you get to hang out and be around in a real baseball setting with Cameron Maybin and the staff, and being able to ask questions that you don't normally get to ask, you know, even if you think it's stupid, like ask that question, because there's some college coaches and high school coaches that don't want any questions, and you may have a million of them, or you may have the anxiety because you want to get to the level so bad, but you just need to have a conversation with someone. We're going to be there. This is what we're here for. And the TrackMan data that we're going to be sharing with you is going to do nothing more than verify. Okay. So it's not something that's like gonna change your life, guys. Okay. It just verifies what you're doing. Okay. And you can use that. That is it's a business card, basically. That's all it is. It's not gonna tell the coaches that you're good. It's gonna get you in the door to say, hi, hello. I'm Cameron Maybin, and I'm disgusting on the mound. And I am ready to help you win a championship. Kids, if there's one thing I want you to take away from this pod, if you aren't talking about championships, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong.
Mm,
Okay. It is not about going 4 for 4. It's about going 4 for 4 as many times as you can to win the championship. Okay. Like that is the game. And it's whether if it's an 8-day tournament or it's a 3-game series, like you're just trying to win the championship and be strategic enough to not hurt yourself and win the game.
absolutely. Compete to win at the end of the day.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Cam, you got anything else?
No, this is great, man. Again, I'm looking forward to the meeting in person. I'm looking forward to continuing to help these young men grow. And again, I appreciate your knowledge, man. I appreciate your passion and what you're doing. Like I said, you're creating real legacy, and those are relationships I want to be a part of. Those are relationships we want to build with families and young men around the country. We want to help them create their own new legacy. So I do appreciate you, man, and it's this is huge. This is a huge step, and continuing to make the game better.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I just want to help. I got lied to a lot about baseball, everything from throwing too much to, you're doing it right, you're doing it wrong. And, you know, is the information that I really want to pass along to some people about how to do that. So also we have Kevin Suarez. I met him in Fort Myers. He's great too, but he was at Long Beach State last year. He's going to be at the clinic as well. So Kevin was an amazing guy. He and I, Kevin, Mo, and I, in the first 5 pitches of the game, picked the other pitcher uh, with just rolling four seams on his hip and then putting it in his glove and then rolling and then spinning off of it into another pitch.
Oh man, that's a good one.
Uh,
That was the Yu Darvish tip. He used to
yeah,
he used to have it in his hands, spinning on all speed, and then straight to the glove on fastball. Crazy.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So like it was kind of funny because you don't know what Jedi you're with outside of there. And I walked over to Kevin and I was like, hey, you got this? And he's like, yeah, we just got it. Me and Moga. I'm like, oh, great.
Love
I
it.
don't have
I
to be
love
the
it.
only one that gets the tip inside of that too. So shout out to Kevin. I can't wait to see him too on there. So
Love it. Looking forward to it, man. This is
yeah,
awesome.
man. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. This is gonna be everywhere. We'll chop it up, get the bits and pieces out from there. The Wiz, you're the best. Thank you. Mo, Kevin, see everybody. Appreciate it, Cam. You're the best.
Yes, sir, man. Anytime, John. This was awesome.
And